Hello viewers, once again it's Brian and Johnson, and today we're looking at still The Samaritan by John Lara, but now Act 1, Scene 1. And to begin with, we will look at the synopsis of the scene. Johnson, do you want to take us through that?
Of course, I'll be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Welcome viewers now. Act 1, Scene 1 begins. It is the school closing day at Sagrada Secondary School, which is located in Maracas Municipality. The Deputy Principal, Mr. Kamona, welcomes the guests who are led by the Principal, Ms. Narine, and she is accompanied by Mayor Mosi Oatunya, together with the other leaders of Maracas Municipality. After Ms. Nicole is invited to the podium to introduce her guests, she later introduces Teacher Nicole, who is the teacher in charge of ethics and innovation at Sagrada Secondary School Hall, so that she may also in turn invite the two students, Alvita and Montano, who are the brains behind the innovation of the Samaritan app that basically we are looking at in this particular play by John Lara. Now, when we look at the students, of course, Ms. Nicole tells us that there is no way that she thought of better to introduce this particular app other than to do a skit. And it is for this reason that she invites the two students, Alvita and Montano, to take center stage and take the leaders who are visiting this particular day through the skit that they have. The first one is Montano, who tells us that he managed to travel into the future. And to be precise, Brian, he tells us that it was 50 years to come. And he tells us that in the 50 years' time, he sees Alvita, who is seated at some corner within the street. And Alvita is basically working as a cobbler. To add on, he also tells us that Alvita is seen with her nose running. This does not really make Alvita to take it lightly. Number one, Alvita perceives herself that she is educated, and so she cannot imagine herself working as a cobbler. Number two, Alvita is portrayed with her nose running, of course, telling us about the suffering that she is exposed to. But Montano goes ahead and tells us that it is not only Alvita who is seen with her nose running, but we are told that millions of young people were walking in the streets, others in the villages. They had nothing meaningful to do. Of course, there was high levels of unemployment within Maracas municipality. Then she tells us that this is not the only thing. They were hungry, angry, and also poor. A sorry state that basically these particular people were exposed to. And then she adds that these people, they were suffering. So the people were exposed to a lot of suffering. And of course, we can see there is levels of insecurity that we have been told were heightening because people were being slaughtered like chicken. And of course, that is a worrying trend. Alvita also tells us that in as much as Montano traveled to the future, she also managed to travel to the future. But she saw an entirely different thing. That number one, she saw that in the future, people could live up to 700 years. Why? Because they had invented a drug that could regenerate the body cells. So that enhanced the lifespan of humanity. Number two, Alvita also sees it that basically people could live. Of course, when we look at work in the town, we have people like police officers and also the judges. They had been replaced because there were inventions, that is the robots have been invented and they could replace the people in their various places of work. This is very fascinating. And of course, Montano wants more light to be shed on it, that how is it possible that a robot works on behalf of a human being? But Alvita tells Montano that it was possible, because basically there are algorithms and such like that had been created so that the computers, even at the present time, they can replace accountants, they can replace judges, lawyers, and even teachers. And so this is basically something that is possible. But one thing, Nicole, who is the teacher, cuts in and tells us that perhaps this could be an imagination, a wild imagination by Montano, by Alvita. The reason being that when they look at the society in which they are living in, resources are there. However, the resources have been misappropriately used. Hence, how comes was it possible that the technological advancement and such like to create robots to replace man and such like are things that could be brought into usage? And it is at that particular point that Montano tells Alvita that they needed to look at the hibiscus bud, and then instead of speaking of such things, they need to speak of which side of the fence is the bird going to fly. Now, this they attach it to now the Samaritan, which is the innovation, and in it we see that the Samaritan, which had been used, it had been of course used in the environment department to see how basically the Department of Environment could sustain its efficiency in how they discharge their duties and mandates. And of course, we are told that several people could take still pictures of what was happening within their environment. Others could as well take videos, and then they would post it on the Samaritan. Now, the leader who is in charge of the environmental department, it would be posted in his pigeonhole, so that this information, he or she was aware of what was happening. In such, the leader is expected to take an initiative into ensuring that the environment is properly taken care of. Now, after that, the mayor comes in. He intercepts and he sees that this is a good innovation. And in fact, he applauds that it is good of the school to raise students who can think in such line. However, he has some reservations that this app could be used to condemn him. It could be used to post information that were necessarily not fit for the consumption by the public. And so he says that for this particular moment, he does not see if it is wise that he launches the Samaritan app. And he further says that until a time that he himself, together with the other leaders, they will feel convenient, then the Samaritan will be launched. But for the time being, everything shall be brought to a halt. Now, I love how the play takes stage at this particular point in view. Now, the Mayor Mosi has given a directive that basically a writing should be made by Tchr Nicole. However, there is something that we come to learn. Tchr Nicole speaks as she is quitting the stage, that she will do that which is right. Piro, who happens to be the chair of the school board, he also brings to the attention of Mayor Mosi that basically there is no need in halting this particular Samaritan. Then Basdeo also adds to a very important point that from the manner in which he is perceiving the issue of the Samaritan, whether the Samaritan is launched or not launched, it is a people's affair. Hence, there is nothing that is going to prevent them from posting the information that they have on the app. Hence, it will have no importance unto the mayor if he does fail to launch the app. However, we see that Mayor Mosi still remains adamant, and he continues that the launching is not really going to take place. The scene ends with basically, we are told that Basdeo is smelling the dawn of a new era. And of course, that brings about the sarcastic aspect of this particular characters as the scene is ending. I think that brings us to the end of the synopsis of Scene 1, Act 1, which also we can dub it as the failed award.
True. Thank you.